Lisa, roll call please.
Ward.
Here.
Essing.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Knopfinger.
Here.
McNutt.
Here.
Butler. Armstrong.
Here.
We're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have anybody from the student council here to start us off?
Come on up.
Come on up, guys. You can come all the way up or you can go right there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks for coming and leading us. Could you give us your name and what grade you are and anything about student council updates or anything else you want to tell us about?
I'm Alex Warfield, and I'm a junior.
I'm Jacob Tuckett, and I'm a senior.
All right, so some upcoming student council things are the Vice Versa dance is coming up March 16th, and the theme is going to be decades. Throughout the week, we're going to be dressing up. We're also working on intramurals game between teachers and students, and we are also working with local restaurants for fundraising for that. That's about it. That's about it.
Anything else you want to add?
The last weather stinks.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming and leading us, and you're free to go or you can stay, whatever you prefer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the agenda. Visitors and correspondence. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board tonight? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to reports. Reports 5.1 is the Foreign Language Department.
Good evening, I'm Bliss Muniz. I am the Foreign Language Department Chair. Our department consists of 6 teachers. We have on the far right, Trisha Kroll. She's in her second year here as a Spanish teacher. She has Spanish 1 and 2. Next to her left, is Polly Fuller. She's been here about 13 years, and she also has Spanish 1 and 2. If you skip over me, next to me is Monica Lynch, and she is also in her second year here at Washington. She teaches Spanish 1 and 3 with me. And then Nathan Sidwell he's in the black shirt. He is our French teacher. He has all 4 levels of French, as well as a section of Spanish 1 this year. Giving him a section of Spanish 1 allowed us to have another section of PAC, which Troy Walcott has, along with Spanish 2 and Spanish 4. For foreign language, levels 1 and 2, so both Spanish and French are on the academic track, and then levels 3 and 4 automatically fall into the honors track. In order to graduate, students need 1 credit in any combination from these courses: foreign language, music, art, drama, or vocational. One thing that our department prides itself on is we are the only school in the area using the comprehensible input method. I've spoken with you guys about that a couple years ago, and with the successes we've seen from our students in their engagement and their retention, this is something that we are excited to share as well as pride ourselves on. Most of our students in Spanish 4 have received, in the past, not yet this year, university credit by taking the CLEP test. Many of our students are pursuing foreign language as minors or concentrations of study, which translates to teachers, and then also through study abroad programs. We have had several students in the past that have participated in study abroad programs through their colleges, and it's fun to watch them via social media and their adventures. So we're not only creating these lifelong learners, but also these lovers of language and cultures, and that all starts here at Washington. One thing specifically from this year, our Spanish club adopted a family for Christmas from the Salvation Army, and we were really excited that they were able to collect a carload worth of gifts for a single mom and her 2 children, and that's what's in the picture there. Our goal, we have 2 this year. One is assessing output through writing while continuing to study and implement these comprehensible and TPRS, the Teaching Through Proficiency, reading and storytelling practices cohesively among our levels. And then another one that we have added is contacting area schools in order to share our successes, not in a gloating way, but just to share what has worked for us. It's been about 10 years, if I recall correctly, since we've had a Mid-Illini conference meeting for foreign language teachers, and so this is something that we have in the works and are just getting the ball going with that. Student language acquisition is greater from year to year. Mr. Walcott just told me the other day, he said after his Spanish 4 students did their art presentations, he realized that he could up his speaking with them even more because their comprehension is that much greater, and their production of the language is just coming along very well. The student engagement in our classrooms is strong. We provide unique opportunities for the students to experience cultures firsthand, whether it be trips abroad or field trips. And we've also had foreign exchange students come into our classrooms and share their native culture with our students who are studying that culture. A weakness that we have is we have heritage speakers and some private school students that are able to skip a level when they come to Washington, but they're not able to receive credit for those levels that they skipped. So then they do not have a full 4 years of a language on their transcript. An opportunity is potential level 5 language to accommodate these heritage speakers as well as private school students. Currently we are offering independent study to cover that. We also have students participate in Strong Start. This allows students to take levels not offered here at Washington. Nathan Sidwell has been able to take trips abroad, take students, any student from Washington that would like to go on trips abroad. He's done this about every other summer. I believe this summer might be one of those, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong. And then Chicago field trip for Mr. Walcott and his level 4 students. They're able to go to the Pilsen neighborhood, which is a Mexican neighborhood, and visit the Mexican Cultural Center. They also visit a Puerto Rican neighborhood, as well as, they learn to salsa dance. And they visit the Art Institute after having studied these artists, these Hispanic artists. One thing that we are working on right now also in our department is a community outreach project. This is aligned with a level 1 novel, so French and Spanish reads this novel in which they are working to have a clothing drive to provide for students, not students, for community or families that are in need. This is still in the works. One threat that we have for foreign language is teacher shortage in foreign languages due to certification requirements when all is said and done, as well as state, federal, local funding shortfalls. Programs and services, again, that are utilized are Strong Start, and then college credit opportunities through the CLEP test, which is a placement test for incoming freshmen, college freshmen. As far as district finances, beyond the budget for our department, we have previously applied for grants to help supplement materials in our classroom. Communications for our department, we regularly submit articles for the Panther Press. Spanish and French clubs participate in school activities such as homecoming parade, Boo Bash, and our department does serve as translators when necessary for the school. Any questions?
I like the idea you're sharing what works here with other schools. After all, we want all of our children well educated, and when you found something that you are so excited about that raises that level, so I think it's wonderful that we're going about sharing it with others.
Thank you. It's taken a while to kind of get there, but we definitely feel like we're ready to go, and we've had some good response, so we're excited to see how it pans out.
About how long have you been doing the comprehensible input?
For me and Polly Fuller, it's been about 5 years to date. She started with it January 2014, coming back from Christmas break, and then I jumped in right about now after seeing what success she had. I mean, it was like immediate. I could hear it from down the hall, and I could see it in her sharing the experiences of the students and the successes of these students who, went from, might have been a D student, now flipped to a B student. So that started about 5 years ago, and it's been a work in progress within our department since then, and now we have implemented it not only at levels 1 and 2, but at level 3, and in aspects of level 4. So we are continuing to practice that, study it, and implement it. It really has been a game changer for not only us as the teachers, kind of rejuvenating our team, but also for our students for sure. And these kids now don't have a clue what it was like before with a traditional grammar-based instruction. So it's been fun, and which I think is important. I mean, it's been fun for all of us, students and teachers.
Thank you.
Many students coming into the high school don't have prior Spanish or French, so that's really their first exposure they have to it, other if they had the speech at home or something. So it's a nice introduction for them to make it a fun learning.
Absolutely, thank you. And that's one thing I don't know that I mentioned, but it is a natural approach. So it is something that just as we learned English as infants and babies, you know, it's a lot of repetition and going slow, and you know, before they can output full sentences and things like that. So.
And I think it's equally important that you put them in more natural surroundings, away from the high school classroom. It's rather an artificial environment.
Absolutely.
When you're learning a new language, into cultures and so forth. So it's more of an immersion and beyond the language into the culture, so they understand the whole totality of the language and its use in the people.
Absolutely, especially with you know, the way our society and culture is today here in the United States. Our goal is to help make them more well-rounded learners and citizens in our community.
Good approach.
I had, what percentage, and maybe you don't know this, maybe Karen, what do you think, what percentage of our kids take at least probably 2 years of language?
Track the data, I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I can tell you we've got, I believe we have like 12 sections of Spanish 1, 10 of Spanish 2, and then I think it cuts about in half from 2 to 3, and then we might lose a section from 3 to 4. So, you know.
The majority of our students, if they're college bound, are going to at least meet that 2-year requirement. And that's where she's talking about the cut that you'll see between 2 and 3. Some colleges, depending upon your major, are going to want that 3rd year. So there are a smaller number of students who will pursue the 3rd and the 4th year of Spanish or French.
Mm-hmm.
But percentage-wise, I couldn't tell you an exact percentage. I'm not going to venture a guess because I don't know, but I will say the numbers are very high. And that's why we're running 12 sections of 24, 25 kids in each section. And they're very full.
Any other questions? Well, thanks for giving us a little insight of your department. It's helpful for us when we make decisions.
Sure, and thank you guys for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the Dean's Report 5.2, that was in our packet. If you had any questions, go ahead and you can address that to Dr. Freeman at a later time. Enrollment report, that's there in our packet too.
1,350.
Okay.
So we managed to hold on to a good number of students, even with the midterm grads. We usually lose about 30 to 40 students a year at midterm because they graduate and move on.
Moving on to the financial report, Dr. Joe Sander.
All right, good evening. Here is the treasurer's report, and then the 2 other reports that I've loaded up on our website. I'm going to take you out to it. If you go to 308 and then the financial dashboard, underneath the monthly dashboard, we have our February investment report. And so I brought that up here. And as you can see, this bold number here is the bond proceeds that we have been drawing down, and then after we approve the bills tonight, I'll send a wire transfer. That's how this process has been going. After every board meeting, we wire transfer the funds to then make the payments. And so this number is going to continue to drop down. I did want to point out this new line over here, the Heartland IMA. That is the account when we sold or basically cashed in the CDs that were at Heartland Bank. We rolled into a cash management account, And since about the mid of January, we've already made about $1,700 on our investment. And so that's if things stayed the same throughout the entire year, we could estimate making about $40,000 in that investment. So that was a really good move on that part. Below this is the insurance report, and so this is the complete year. And so you can see where we were last year in our medical expenses as compared to this year and all the different subcategories. Specific reimbursement. Last year we received more reimbursement, but then again we had more expenses. And so overall, this is where we finished, and so it was a better year for us. And we're hoping that this trend here on the right, this is our expenses, continues. And so the month of December, we are actually at about, I want to say about $168,000 in our expenses, which is below, the break-even line. So that's what we're looking for. And I got to give credit to Michelle Gibbons. She's been working with our new software program to bring back some of the reports that we had that I was able to put together easily with the other program. This one has a lot of data, and so we're trying to filter that. And so I put this report, this is our revenue report, and we're working on the expense side of the house as well. But you can see what was budgeted and what we've actually received and the percent received. So you can go through, these are some of the major revenue line items, and you can see a grand total. And I threw these little donut graphs. I think these are quite useful. We've received 86% of our total budgeted amount. And for those that want to see it broken out by local, state, and federal revenue, I included those graphics as well. And so I may make some tweaks to this revenue report, or if you have any ideas or suggestions for me, let me know. And then in the meantime, I'm going to continue to work on the expense side of the house and hopefully get something that I can mine for you out of that. You have any questions?
Thank you for putting that together for us, Joan. I know it's a work in progress with the new software that you're doing.
Well, you can check it out anytime off of our website.
Thanks for updating that.
Mrs. Ward, could I ask to backtrack for just a second?
Sure.
I was getting out a newspaper article when we had the dean's report. And I had looked at the January care program report, and I noticed that out of the 24 offenses, 11 of those were for e-cig possession. And in the Peoria Journal-Star, front page of the Sunday paper, there's a big article about these exploding and serious injuries resulting from them. So where before it was a medical concern about the health and the fact that it's not a good substitute for cigarettes, now there's the danger of explosions with it. So since we are dealing with that, because they are very popular, I guess my question was, I know we have health classes and so forth, and I just wondered, with a combination of the medical concerns and the safety concerns now, are we already addressing these with the students to educate them about, because so often they're unaware of these things?
Well, I know it's been a constant conversation. I do believe we're covering that in health class, but I also know that the dean sent out some information even to parents. We are trying to get on the front end of this as much as we can. Seems to be kind of the new epidemic. The thing that I'll also throw out there is, you mentioned not a safe alternative to cigarettes and the explosive, but they can also put THC, which is the drug from marijuana, into that juice.
Another
Yeah.
component.
And we've actually seen that before. So those are the things that everybody needs to be aware of. This is not a safe practice, and it's become pretty hazardous to our kids. So we'll continue to push. Any support we can get at home is always welcome.
Yes.
So
Unfortunately, though, with these things, when they happen, so much falls on the schools.
it does.
And so I just wanted to make sure all of you had seen this, because as I said, front page, so it was news. But not everyone gets a paper. And I just thought that really was relevant to us trying to deal with this whole issue here at Washington High School. So whatever we can do for the kids for their safety, without lazy.
Exploding e-cigarettes is another aspect that's on top of what it is, so.
Right.
That's dangerous.
It is.
I know you can't take them on here, but you know that too, so, anyway. Okay, moving on to, let's see, where were we? Board 5.5. Did we have any reports that we needed to talk about?
No, we could have, but we had bad weather, so.
So we moved the facilities meeting from Wednesday to this coming Thursday, which is the 14th.
Yes.
Valentine's Day, so.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Okay, moving on to point 6, discussion and informational items. 6.1, the resignation of Kimberly Wright for administration assistant to the principal, so Karen will be looking for a new assistant.
Mhm.
Resignation of Katie Ortez for the mathletes coach, and will you be putting that out for
Yes.
people to do? Okay. And then board goals 6.3.
We are rescheduling this is this year's board goals.
Okay.
Sorry. We're going to push that into March with all the bad weather we've had. We haven't really had the opportunity to get together and get the report done. So we're part of the way there. We just need to finish it up. So we'll bring it to March.
Sure. 6.4, the school calendar 2019-2020.
And we, you saw last month, we put in a sample calendar. We pushed that over to the WEA, and they're kind of looking through it. They noticed a couple things. For example, had a great idea, parent-teacher conference looks great for a half day on November 1st. Until you realize that means that the evening conference is October 31st, and there might be something else going on that day. So probably not a good day for parent-teacher conferences. So we're working on getting the correct dates in place. I think we have something worked out, so we should have something in place for you to vote on next month.
Okay, great. On 6.5, we just spoke about that. We rescheduled the facilities committee meeting to February 14th. And then 6.6, we rescheduled, and you're going to present the goals at our goal planning session, which is March 4th, 2019.
Correct.
Okay.
And we can do a quick run through. I could actually review where we're at with the goals at that time,
Okay.
which might be a good idea since it's the goals planning meeting, even though it's just a midterm, so it's not final on where we're at for the 18-19 goals.
Is everybody okay with that?
Good idea.
Okay. Save a little bit of time, and then it'd be fresh in our minds while we're computing the new goals.
Yep.
6.7, the FOIA records request.
You have a copy of it and the response.
Okay, and then the 6.8 is still another FOIA.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, which is 7.1. That would be the minutes of 7.11, the regular board meeting minutes of January 14, 2019, and 7.12, the executive session meeting minutes of January 14, 2019, 7.2, the bills, and 7.3, the reimbursement of coursework. Is there a motion to, for the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or any pullouts that you saw was incorrect? Okay. Roll call, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Essing.
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Knopfinger.
Yes.
McNabb,
Yes.
Armstrong.
Yes.
The motion carries. Okay. Moving on to the action items, personnel 8.1, certified employment. Pull that in here so I can read it right. Okay, the first one is there a motion to approve the recommendation of the employment of Mark O'Neill for long-term substitute as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion?
Real quick, we're currently utilizing the services of a retired teacher who is serving to help cover Coach Brown's PE courses. However, the problem that we have in Illinois is they're only allowed to work for 120 days as per TRS rules. So we're going to run a little short of that, so we need an extra body. So Mr. O'Neill retired, and he has time and interest in helping. So we'll use the combination of the two through the end of the year to cover those courses.
Roll call, please.
McNabb?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Essing?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Knopfinger?
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to 8.12. The motion is to approve the recommendation for employment of Aaron Ross for head cook as presented. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
I had a question. Aaron is a common male name, and it's very unusual to have a male cook at Washington High School. So I know names can go back and forth with some names, but I was just curious about that.
Well, I will let Dr. Sander talk about that, because he actually did the interviewing. So.
Has any bearing on how we hire people?
No, I'm just curious.
We had a wide variety of candidates, and Mr. Ross is our candidate that we're bringing forward, and we did have Marlene sit in on the interviews because she's just going to step down from being a full-time head cook. She's done the job for so many years. She's wanting to transition to a part-time position, and between Marlene and Miss McHugh Newport, they both really liked what they saw from Aaron, and they wanted to bring him to the board for your approval.
Well, now, some men are the greatest chefs in the world, so.
Well, and
I'm
he is,
prejudiced.
I think he's a graduate of the ICC Culinary Arts Program, and so, we've got some experience, trying to provide more options instead of the typical cafeteria style lunch. And so, this will be a welcome addition. It really will.
It's Marlene, is that Marlene Armstrong, right?
Marlene Armstrong.
Okay, roll call, please.
Fisher?
Yes.
Knopfinger?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Abstain.
Ward?
Yes.
Essing?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 8.13, the extracurricular employment. And the Board of Education approved the employment of April Wetzel as the assistant boys tennis coach for the 2018-2019 school year. Okay. And then the next one is the recommendation to approve the employment of Steven Spitzer as the assistant girls soccer coach for the 2018-2019 school year. And then that's it, right?
That's it.
Is there a motion to approve as presented?
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? Like
We
Will
need
said.
assistant coaches. They're interested and willing to do it, so that works out well for all of us.
And then Mr. Spritzer had prior experience being a soccer coach.
He did. He actually,
At our
I
school?
believe that he started the girls soccer program here, so.
So he probably missed it one.
Good recommendation.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Knopfinger?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Essing?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 8.2 is approve the updated memo for the overnight request. And then if you had a chance to look at that, since we last voted on that, we've received lacrosse.
Baseball spring trip, softball spring trip, boys tennis,
And LAX.
and, yep, boys lacrosse.
Boys lacrosse, okay?
And we knew we'd have at least one overnight trip for lacrosse, because that's a good way to get a lot of games in one condensed weekend.
We actually talked about this earlier, remember, we were discussing the program and all aspects of it.
I was kind of curious, why just the boys and the girls? Because I figured they'd probably be playing in tandem.
I think this is a specific tournament to boys, so, in this particular place. So,
I was just curious, I mean,
That's the
because
best
I
answer
wondered if
I
it,
can
so
give
that
you.
implies that maybe it's not part of the required kind of number. Otherwise, girls, because there's only some limited number around us, so this is one they prefer to play in. Okay. I'm just curious because it's a new sport. Interesting to learn.
I would have to ask that question to Mr. Noblas. So I can get that answer to you.
They might not have the numbers to participate to the girls' clubs. It's the same tournament.
I don't want to speak out of turn, so
Right.
I would need to ask him.
I mean, I guess in general, I would just be kind of curious, maybe like for an update. And,
Yep.
You know, the weekly kind of thing on how lacrosse is going as a new sport. You know, how is it shaping out?
You
Like,
want a weekly report on that?
no. And you know how you know the weekend report.
Okay, yes.
You know, just kind of give an update because I think they've had their intake
The
and
boys'
everything. They
numbers, I
kind of
know,
know
is
how many.
really, really high.
Yes.
I heard the boys
I
is
don't know
high,
what
but
the
not
girls
the
are, right, I
girls.
haven't heard
The
anything.
girls are in the mid-30s, I would say.
So they'll have enough to field a team,
Oh, yeah.
obviously.
The boys right now are looking at 73. They have more than enough to field the team, and 3 teams, maybe 4 teams.
I mean, that's a big practice
That's
because
a
they're going
big number of kids, so.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting
It'll
to
be
see.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, it's going to be exciting. So, is there a motion to approve the updated memo on overnight field trips as presented?
So
Moved. Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Essing,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Knopfinger,
Yes.
McNabb,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Warren.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. This was a discussion item last month. 8.3 is approve the WCHS revised physical education waiver, and we had to take a look at that and make some updates. Let me see.
Can you go through that real quick?
Yeah, could you?
Yeah, the simple way to put this is, if you recall, in the discussion last month, and we talked about the fact that when we brought in the band waivers, they went down to the sophomore year. Okay, so if a band student waives PE for marching band, they are allowed to take a study. And because of, it was the other way around?
They were not allowed to take a study hall, and then when we added the athletes, they also were not allowed. But
Okay.
the athletes are completely practicing outside of school and games outside of school, so they desperately needed the study hall. So our athletes were opting not to take it. So that's why we revised it. We were trying to give an opportunity for our athletes as well, and we basically shut them out of that opportunity because of the after-school commitments that they had.
So now we're revising it to allow them to take a study hall, both band and
Correct.
athletes.
Correct.
So it's the same process. Anyway, that's why it's always good to have Mrs. Stevens here.
Sorry.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you said it. I would have said it right now. So.
Well, thanks for updating us on that. And is there a motion to approve the WCHS revised physical education waiver as discussed?
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
McNabb,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Essing,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Knopfinger.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 8.4 is approve the underground storage tank bid for removal and replacement for above-ground storage tank. Let's see if I can bring up the motion here for that. I know we've been talking about this and it was released for bid. The recommendation is for the Board of Education to approve the underground storage bid removal and replacement for the underground storage tank in the amount of $54,404 with Illinois Oil Marketing Equipment Incorporated. Is there a motion to accept as presented?
I move.
Motion and second?
Second.
Okay, second. Discussion?
I had some questions about this, just because ordinarily we would have talked about this at the facilities meeting, which we didn't have last week. So we haven't seen the number on this until this weekend, I guess, or last week. What, I mean, I guess this is close to what we expected, but what is the return on this investment? So we're putting $50,000 into this. What's the, I guess, the logic behind that? I know we've had one in the past.
Well, okay, so I'll give some quick background. This has been a long-term discussion. It's been going on for about 4 years. Part of the problem is we have an underground tank that is, I think it was put in the ground prior to 1982.
1982.
So it's been down there a long time. We're going to have to replace it or remove it regardless of what we do. So we have to get that out of the ground. We want to do it before it starts leaking. Because if it leaks, then we have another bigger problem with remediating soil all through that area. That's the main concern right now, along with the fact that we do have to fuel our buses. Now, also through some of what we looked into, I believe that the reason we brought this fuel on campus to begin with was, would have been back in the 1978 timeframe, 80, had a cold winter, and we were buying our fuel elsewhere in a gel because they didn't have the proper additives in it to keep it from gelling. So we've seen this recently in other school districts, and we don't want to be in a position to where our buses can't start because the fuel is gelled. So that's one of the reasons we brought it on board. We also had a lot of diesel equipment here, so we need to be able to fuel up here. Driving around town with our tractors is a bad idea, and usually a lot of that fueling takes place, especially for snow removal, very early in the morning. So we have to have access to fuel at all times. That's a big part of it, is just making sure that the operations are able to occur. We do get a better deal because we buy in bulk, and we're able to kind of levelize the fuel bill as we go. I know that in the past, in some of the districts I've worked at, we've been able to do that to a point to where we've actually saved the district thousands of dollars over the course of a year. So over 30 years, if you're saving $2,000 a year, that's a $6,000 or $60,000 return on your investment. That's part of what we're looking at here. But the biggest thing is making sure that we have the ability to keep our equipment moving in the mornings and out to get kids.
And so you're saying, I mean, primarily we're doing this not for cost savings necessarily, it's primarily for convenience.
It's more than convenience. It's about functionality. Convenience would mean we could do it elsewhere. The problem is we can't do it elsewhere. If you're here at 4 in the morning to fuel up, there's nowhere you can go.
I'm sure there's some. What about, so we have this in our facilities.
Yeah, we talked about
We have it,
that.
right, but I didn't hear what, or not facilities, our finance. What we had set aside for this.
But, I mean, I guess I would say that, I mean, we've been talking about this a lot, and
Right, but we've never
I've
had
been
a
at
figure
facilities.
until now.
No, it's
But it's-
budgeted. It's been budgeted.
So it is budgeted.
For the last
Been budgeted.
2-3 years.
Right, okay.
But I mean, this isn't a new thing, this is replacing an existing one. I mean, this is existing practice, it's just allowing
Right,
this
but this
to
is the first
continue.
we've seen the numbers.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been pretty well explained, I mean, these guys, I know what you're saying.
Since I'm not at the finance meetings.
Yeah, no,
so
we didn't
I
talk about it in finance, but I just,
But it's in the
It's-
budget.
It's in the budget.
yeah, it's in the budget.
But we didn't.
It wasn't called out specifically
called
because
out.
it's
It's kind of like replacing a
budgeted.
roof, but if it leaks, it's incredibly expensive.
That's
a good analogy.
Well,
what-
that's my next question. So what do we do when, if there is remediation necessary, if we have,
We have to do it.
No,
unless we just.
no, eventually you'll have to.
If it's
pull it out.
leaching, it's leaching.
Yes.
Unless it's
It's a mess.
What's
Trying
the,
to poke a friggin' hole in it.
what's the life expectancy of the above ground? Is it the same as the underground?
I actually think it goes a little bit further
Okay.
beyond the life expectancy of an underground tank.
And then we have like something around
Yeah.
it so somebody can't run into it?
Yeah, the spec had it laid out
Okay.
with, I mean, it was all included in the spec, that there's a concrete pad and there's some bollards that are going around that. You know, the advantage of an above-ground tank is you always have eyes on it, and there's, you know, if there's a need for containment, you will know that, instead of a surprise of, you know, you don't know if an underground tank is leaking. We have reason to believe that ours isn't because we've had it inspected, if we purchase, let's just say 1,200 gallons of diesel fuel, we're getting about 1,200 gallons of diesel fuel. You know, we're not noticing, hey, boy, this tank is running empty sooner. So this, I know it's a difficult thing. Since 2015, this has been on the facility plan, and for the last 2 years, we've budgeted for it. It just keeps getting pushed to the back burner with so many other projects that have come forward.
I don't think we're trying to push it to the back corner, but normally we'd be able to answer these questions in facilities meeting prior to this, and it was canceled by emergency, so good questions. Any other additional questions? I had one other one. We at one point talked about co-oping with other districts, and how did that turn out?
I've had conversations with them. The problem is the same thing that I just mentioned. Nobody wants to drive across town. My understanding is 52 already has their own.
Right.
50 isn't going to come this far. And talking with 51, they want one on site so that they can fuel up and go from there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was on the board at 52 when we did this, and it was cost saving. And then our maintenance guy here was telling us, I think it was at the facilities meeting, where he was telling us they're gonna have cards, the bus drivers will have cards, and it'll regulate and everything like that. I mean, so I see efficiencies and better controls.
And this is a little bit off topic. Did 52 have to remove one from the ground, or did they just have one?
No, it was a decision it made sense to have it on site instead of having to go to gas stations. And actually, during the cold spell, 150 Peoria had to cancel school because their gas did jump, so they canceled it. They had to cancel school, which is too bad for them. But I just mean, it's a real threat.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they have their own tanks, so we can't.
Exactly.
Is there any additional questions to ask before it goes to vote?
No, I remember this being on the facility committee, when I was on the facility committee long ago. So this has been a constant trying to decide how to take care of it before it would leak.
I know Joe's been on this for a while, so I appreciate your time and answering the questions also. Are we ready to do the motion? Is roll call, please?
Knopfinger,
Yes. Yes.
McNabb,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Essig,
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to 8.5 is authorization to dispose of the district personal property. I've lost what is it? The suggested motion is to dispose of the district personal property as listed below, and it looks like we're cleaning out some closets of school costume closet contents. Is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion?
There are a lot of costumes, so we need to make a little space.
Okay,
Cleaning
great.
out the closets.
Roll call, please.
Fisher,
Yes.
Knopfinger.
Yes.
McNabb.
Yes.
Armstrong.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Essig.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. There's no executive session tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Before we do, I have just two information
Sorry.
items here.
Sure.
That I missed as we talked about just discussion items.
That's fine. I think we missed the others.
There's a magazine called IBI, it's printed with a lot of news, and they have a 40 under 40 leaders, young leaders who are under 40 years of age, and they name 40 of them every year, and they're outstanding leaders. And every once in a while, Washington gets pulled in some way by these highly energized people. Our own head of our special ed department was one of these 2 years ago, I believe, and quite an honor for him. And I found two more just named in the IBI magazine. One is Joe Adams, who happens to be with the Farnsworth group that we're well acquainted with. He's a member of Washington Realty, and I would guess from this he lives in Washington. The article does not say where he resides, but he was one of those 40 named. So he certainly has ties with Washington. And the other one was Robert Garcia. And there's a picture of Robert with his wife and his two sons. And Robert and his wife both have Washington Panther shirts on because he is a volunteer coach with our football team. When it asks about people who inspired you, one of those is Washington Community High School coach Daryl Crouch, and he also is highly involved with the Washington Junior Football League. So these two men have definite ties to Washington Community High School.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. It's always nice to see some ties in magazines. Is there
And
any?
Peoria Magazine.
Yeah. Is there any other that I forgot because it wasn't on my agenda? But that's okay. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn for this evening?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Hessen,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Singer.
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Armstrong.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. Motion carries. The next regular board meeting will be Monday, March 11th, 2019.